As with most things, we run into jargon, words that are used in that specific field all the time. And working with images and photos, there's no difference. There are some things that you need to learn. And in this video, we're going to focus on two terms. One, filter, and second, effect. And the strange thing is, they're actually exactly the same thing. I'm going to use 3 apps today to show you that you can see it's actually applied everywhere in all photo editing software. The first one we will start with is Topaz Studio 2, and for all the software I'm using in this video, I'll add the links in the description below. With Topaz Studio, you have to bring in the image. So I'm going to drag this image in here. And then you will see up here it says Add Filter. Now, the idea of a filter comes from photography. If you can imagine yourself a camera with a lens in the front, what we do is we screw a filter on the front that will change the color of how the image turns out. So the idea of a filter is it's applying an effect. And that is why when you click here on Add Filter, you will see all of these. And all of them apply a different effect. A filter applies an effect. So there are 4 categories here: essential, creative, stylistic, and then there's also another one called plugin, which is not actually a category. I click on stylistic and let me choose which one here, AI Remix. This one is pretty extreme. If I click on this filter, it applies a very interesting effect. You see, and I can choose different presets over here or different filters. And this is how it will change the image. So a filter is one single effect. And I want you to think again of that sentence. A filter is one single effect that is applied. So here I've got one filter called AI Remix, and I can delete it. Let's bring in another filter. Let's bring in this, let's take essential, and we go for black and white. So this filter applies a black and white effect. And then you can make changes here to it, play around with it. And you can apply another filter on top of this filter. We call it stacking or layering. You layer them on top of each other. So here I have the black and white filter. I go to Add Filter, and then I go and choose Impression over here. And I layer that on top of the black and white. So you can see here at the bottom is my image, then my black and white filter, and then my impression filter. And the impression filter applies a painterly effect. Let's change it a little bit so you can see the effect better. Increase the brush size. And let's add one more filter. Let's call this one a color overlay. Where will that be creative? There, color overlay. And then I'll choose a different color. And what I've done here is I've stacked these 3 filters on top of each other, and they each apply a different effect. So remember, filter causes a specific effect. This is just the terminology that we use. Let me go and show you then in On One Photo Raw, another plugin that I love so much, especially if you care a lot about photography. This is one super plugin. Here I am within the plugin, and I'll go and edit it. I'll go over here to the right. I click on Edit, and then you will see here, again, it says Effects. So I'm going to apply these effects, and if I click on Effect, you see it says Add the Filter. So to get a specific effect, I have to apply my filter. Click on Add My Filter. Let's do again a black and white. Over here you see black and white, and it changes it to black and white. If I click here, it collapses it. So you see the black and white filter applied over here. And there are some presets here. I think, what is this? I can click here on Auto. We'll make it Auto black and white. You can do a lot. We're not going to go into that. Then if I want to add another filter over this, what can we do here? A LUTs. Oh, I love LUTs. LUTs. We'll discuss this a lot in the future. And now you will see I have my black and white filter at the bottom, and I've applied this LUT, the LUT, on top of it. Exactly the same like we had in Topaz Studio. You apply a filter, it applies or it gives a certain effect. And you can stack them, you can layer them on top of each other. What did I hear? You want to add another filter? Okay, let's do that. I'm not sure what we can add. Oh yeah, vignette. Vignette. And you will see our border. Let me choose a preset. Big Softy. Did you see that? We can add a darker border around the corner. Okay, Big Softy. So here we've applied 3 filters, black and white, LUTs, and a vignette on top of each other. And this has given us this image. And we all started from here. That's the difference between before and after. The last one, which is very popular, is Luminar 4. Actually, Luminar 4 is the new update to Luminar 3, I think a week or 2 ago. No, 2 weeks ago. Luminar 4 is doing it a little bit different, and it takes some time to get used to, and I haven't played around with it yet enough. In the past, it worked very similar to the previous 2 that I showed you, but here you have to create those layers if you want to stack them. So all you can see on this side, these are the essential filters, and you see black and white is over there, and then you can choose creative filters, and you can use portrait and professional filters. What I will do is I will create my first layer. So I go here to layer, and I go here and I say add new adjustment layer, and I can rename it, and let's call this our black and white layer. This is a very quick, and then boom, that's it. Now I go to my essentials, I go to black and white conversion, and I say yes, convert it into black and white. Now, if I want to add a LUT on top of that, oops, convert to black and white. Now, if I add a LUT on top of that, go to color styles, and I choose one, you will see it remains black and white. And why does it remain black and white? Because this is on top of each other. For me to have it black and white, I need to put it on its own layer. So what I will do, I'm going to reset this, turn it off, go to layers. I'm going to say add a second layer. Okay, and if this is all a lot of work, don't worry about it. I'm going to do more tutorials on this. I'm going to call this LUT, L-U-T. Click on it, and then I go to creative, go to my color styles, LUTs, and I choose Bakersfield. Now you see it has applied that over it. So if I go to my layers up here, you will see I have my black and white layer, and on top of that, my LUT layers. What is important? What is important? And that is, I want you to remember the following 2 words. You apply filters, and filters apply a single effect. This filter, black and white, made my image black and white. The LUT applied a color grading to my image, second filter, and then vignette applied a third filter, which is giving my corners and my border of my image this dark background. 3 filters, 3 different effects. And that brings us to next week, where we will be talking about looks. Yeah, L-O-O-K-S, looks. See you then next week. JP here with better images at Websites for Beginners.